co-host, Shamika McDowell.
And I am the other co-host, LaRodrius McDowell.
And we are the Marital Mission.
Mission.
That was cute.
We cute.
So today we have a fun topic. It could be pretty controversial, depending on how you look at it, but we wanted to discuss images of Black marriages in media and the things that we've seen coming up, growing up, and how that kind of informed us in correlation with the images that we saw in our real lives. So we're going to delve into that a little bit. If anything resonates with you, of course, we invite you to comment and share and keep the conversation going amongst your circles, and certainly hit us up on social media as always.
Definitely. I feel like we're going to step on some toes today. We're going to be talking about
I feel like we do every episode.
Yeah, but people have loyalty to specific shows or movies. And, hey, we like a lot of those movies and shows.
And songs.
But I just feel that a lot of them, when you look at them in retrospect, you see how damaging some of the messages may have been. As entertaining as it may be, subconsciously, we hold on to some of those things that may not be very beneficial for us in our everyday lives.
Okay. I'm interested. You ready to get into it?
Let's go.
All right. So, what are some of the images of marriage that you saw that kind of informed your understanding of what marriage is?
I think mine would probably be more music than
like film and television.
Yeah, just because I had my parents, they were married from the time I was born. So I grew up in a household where I saw my mom and my dad interact on a daily basis. So that was pretty much my Claire and Heathcliff. But music, as I got a little older, served as, I guess, a way for me to understand more intricacies, at least in my uninformed opinion, of relationships that I did not see from my parents or other people around me.
Like
Donnell Jones, Where I Want to Be.
Oh.
Like being in a relationship with someone who you care about, but looking toward the future and being like, are you the person I want to be with for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And
that was a real song.
Battling between those feelings, like, I'm a loyal person, but I have these feelings like I would like to know other people. So it was just.
Well, let's take it all the way back. So not as a kid, like, so the Cosby Show, Different World, Martin.
Yeah.
Those didn't inform you in any kind of way?
I didn't look to those shows, or I didn't approach watching those shows trying to get.
Or even subconsciously. Nothing
that I can draw from. I'm sure that it did, but nothing that I could draw from. Like I said, I didn't look. It was strictly entertainment. So most of them were sitcoms. So
yeah,
they had some comedic value, and because I had something real at home, that was just kind of television, or those were just movies. Like, I remember going to watch Waiting to Exhale with my parents. But I'm sitting there with my mom and my dad, and I never seen them act like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen, not saying that they didn't, but I didn't see it. So it wasn't real to me.
Yeah.
Even like Cosby's, I wasn't looking at them like, oh, I want that marriage one day. Like, I just didn't have that.
Yeah.
Martin and Gina, like it was all just fake to me. So
Really?
yeah.
I remember, I guess, looking back and wanting the silliness
Mm-hmm.
of a Martin and Gina type relationship
Mm.
without the all of the seriousness.
Yeah.
Not to say I didn't see that, because my parents definitely were silly. My parents were married
Mm-hmm.
for, ooh, I want to say 23, 24 years
Mm-hmm.
before they got divorced, and I was good and grown by the time they divorced. But
Yeah.
so I always saw my parents
Yeah.
together and in marriage. They were married before I came along. But as far as marriage, I would say I wanted the silliness of the Martin and Gina relationship.
I got you. And now that I think about it, a lot of those marriages or those married couples, they were older. And if you think about it, most of those sitcoms had children. So,
Mm-hmm.
the children are kind of like a nucleus
Mm-hmm.
of the show.
Yeah.
And the marriage was kind of an afterthought or just an addition to.
That's a good observation.
So, now that I'm thinking about it, probably more so than not, it wasn't the marriages that I was looking at as opposed to how to talk to women or how to date women. That probably had more of an impact as opposed to that's the marriage I want, because I wasn't thinking about marriage,
Yeah.
during those times.
Well, we could talk about that too. I mean, you got to be in a relationship to get to the marriage. So,
Yeah. And then, just being all the way honest, being a horny boy, like you got these people coming on, Vivica Fox and Nia Long and Jada Pinkett. I mean, I'm more so attracted to these women,
mm-hmm.
and seeing how the I guess whoever the male lead is, whether it was Dwayne Wayne and Whitley
Mm-hmm.
or Martin and Gina or whatever it was, like how they interacted on that side, because I didn't have that relationship with my dad where I can go to him and be like, hey, I'm starting to like, well, I don't know if I didn't have a relationship, I just didn't utilize it, but we didn't have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I have an older brother, he's 5 years older than me, but we didn't have that relationship where I went to him and was like, hey, I like this girl. What should I say? What should I do? So that's why I say probably listening to music and music videos. Music videos were big back in the day, and they kind of told stories. So you had those personalities in music where it was like, okay, well, this is the player type, or this is the guy who has more of a loving side. And I think that probably had more of an impact because I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And, me, I have to take a while to get the lyrics.
Yeah.
I listened to it a few times. So, one of my first albums that I purchased, well, I purchased these at the same time. I think I was in the ninth grade. I mean, not ninth grade. I think I was 9. So I probably was 4th going to 5th grade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Escape, Humming, Coming at You, and Barry White, Practice What You Preach.
What?
Those were like my 2 first cassettes that I
Why did you
purchased when I had a
purchase
Walkman.
Barry White at 9?
I don't even know. I liked the song. It was a single. I had that single.
Oh, the joys of buying a cassette.
Yeah.
Your first cassette.
Yep.
Mine
Yep.
was Mariah Carey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I think getting older and getting into that preteen, teenager phase, I think I began to more so look at the music videos and listen to the messages of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And those had more of an impact than me sitting down and watching a television show, which was I'm trying to figure out, what is this episode about?
Yeah.
What is, and not following, one thing I can appreciate about a lot of those shows is that the parents or the husband and wife always seem to work it out.
Yeah.
Now, what they did not show is how they worked it out, or it would be this major conflict, and then one person, like there's a conflict, there is maybe separation, there's an argument, there are hurt feelings, but then there's an act or a gesture that kind of rectifies it all before the end of the episode. And that
Not
is,
necessarily. Remember that big blow up between Martin and Gina?
yeah, but
More
yeah,
recently, and we don't watch this show, and I haven't seen the episode,
what's
but
that?
I'm hearing that there was a big blow up between Tracy Ellis Ross's character and Anthony Anderson
Oh,
on
okay.
Blackish.
On Blackish, yeah.
So we might need to catch that because
Yeah.
apparently it spanned a few episodes.
Oh, really? Yeah. Those things serve better than we need to wrap this up by the end of the episode. Different world. The dynamic between Whitley and Dwayne, you know, where they were not always together. Sometimes they had other relationships, but there was still something between them. And then how Freddie was in the mix. And I don't even now thinking about it, I don't know how much I was affected by seeing those images at a younger age, because I had, like I say, that at home reflection of what marriage to me was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different story.
What you got at home?
Yeah, as far as what I saw of a marriage. And so the contrast, like, my parents didn't joke a lot with each other. Like, I was kind of the one that was hurling the jokes around. I don't know, like my dad had a role as husband, my mom had a role as wife, and to me that was what marriage looked
The
like.
quintessential.
I guess, yeah. Getting older and going to college and then having conversations with my friends about, okay, when we get married, we had the when we get married talk. And we were all saying, you know, what we wanted our wives to role to be in the marriage, what we wanted our roles to be in the marriage, and hearing the differences because of what we saw growing up. Like, some had divorced parents who were still had relationship, you know, with each other. Some parents had been not, I don't think, maybe not have ever been married, but, or there may have been like a step parent, and just seeing and hearing that just kind of made me realize that, you know what, this thing may be more to marriage than just what I seen at home, you know.
Right.
But just thinking about some of the movies like Boomerang, and then as, you know, I guess we got older, start thinking about Brown Sugar, Best Man, these movies. I don't like the fact that when one type of black movie works, then it's like 4 or 5 other that's going to be very similar to that.
But subpar in quality and acting.
Yeah, I do like representation, but we're diverse, especially our relationships. And so because there's a lack of diversity, I think that we begin to buy into the messages that are portrayed or that are pushed on us.
Like what?
Like, there's no commitment in relationships.
Or there's a fear of commitment.
That too. And a lot of times it stems from, well, the mom is jaded at the dad, or, you know.
Is that not art imitating life?
Maybe. I mean, it could be argued, but we're diverse though. In the same breath though, right?
Yeah.
We are diverse. So it's kind of like this. It's kind of like when they make quote unquote hood movies. Well, they show the violence. They show the scheming. They show, you know, the jail. They show all of that, but they don't show
what led up to that.
No, they don't show like the positive people. Like, just when we went home, I was talking to my dad. I was telling him how, like, him raising us in the neighborhood we grew up in, how now I feel way more comfortable in multiple situations, because even though I grew up knowing that there were dangers and like a certain element around me, the love and protection and peace that we had in our household, it was close, but it was far at the same time. And saying that, I know that my household wasn't the only one. There are a lot of people that get up, go to work, do what they have to do in the ghetto or the hood, right? There are a lot of relationships that are positive, like married people in the black community, but they don't show that. They don't emphasize that. I guess that's not what people want to see, or what they don't think that will sell.
Mm-hmm.
The best man, the bachelor party, the this, the that, the that. A lot of times it may be art imitating life, but on the other side, you have a generation coming up. They don't know any better. So what do they know? They know what they see on, because truth be told, a lot of our, just talking about African Americans or black, or the people who were born in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
That descend from Africa recently. Not everybody come from Africa, but you know what I'm talking about. So we have a big oral history, right? And so things are passed down generation orally. Well, relationships and marriage is not something that typically the adults talk about to their children.
That's true.
Even as you become adults, you don't have a lot of moms, dads sitting down with their sons, daughters and talking about their marriage, or especially not in-depth things. Where do we get it from? We get it from media. We get it from outside sources, unless you have a friend who, have parents who are married who may be a little bit more open and talking to you about that.
Okay, so you just said that TV didn't inform you.
To a degree, it did, on like just kind of the framework of what marriage looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I got that at home, right?
Uh-huh.
But
the nuances,
which that's what makes and break marriages.
Yeah.
You can find someone who's like, okay, this person's a provider, this person is a nurturer, this person can cook, this person can earn money, this person can do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But how am I supposed to coexist with this person day in and day out?
Yeah.
I think some of those things are touched on in movies and in songs and just television, but it's done in a way where you're not really considering it, because like I say, it's wrapped into so much other things that may not be reality.
Yeah.
I guess in saying all of that, I feel that there's a duty for those people who are married or who are in relationships to represent a real reflection of what you go through. And that may just be with one person that you're close to, or one person that you may mentor, or just not being fake.
Or I would challenge those who are creatives to put some of that in their work, in their craft.
Yeah.
Like if you're a singer, sing about, we're always going to hear about, the cheating songs. Sing about the love. If you're married,
Yeah.
Sing about a marriage. It doesn't have to be necessarily yours, but that's one thing that music is missing, is the creative element. Remember when songs, they weren't like always centered around love, or they took love and they put a spin on it. They told a story.
Yeah.
I miss that, the storytelling element of music. That's a whole other conversation. But if you're creative and you're listening, put some of that in your work. If you're a writer, write about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we definitely need that as we consume these images and these sonic waves. Like, we need the positive side of things.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's more important in today's time with the social media.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and you have...
But shout out to all of the marriage, what are they, pages, I guess, Instagram pages.
Mm-hmm. Facebook groups.
Yeah, that are out here showcasing Black marriage, because we're fighting this narrative that's out there that, Black women don't get married and Black men aren't interested in getting married, or they're marrying other races. And we're out here and thriving.
And we run into other couples all the time I definitely, in conversations comes up. And look, relationships, they all are challenging. I don't care if it's a childhood friendship that you're maintaining, if it's a coworker, if it's a sibling, a parent. Like, relationships are challenging.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly growing, evolving. Some people grow faster than others. Some people not so much. Some people grow at the same times, and then somebody else feel like they're left out. So you have to. I feel like you have to represent truth and reality when you're putting things out there about your relationship. One, whenever you have conversations about your marriage or your relationship, should not always be negative. Just like on TV and in movies and music, if you always focus on those things, then that's what you're going to be drawn to. You're going to identify with the Angela in Boomerang, right? You're always going to identify with Jasmine Sullivan, bust your windows out your car. Like, I was reading something earlier on a blog post, and a guy was saying people lie, numbers don't. But he was saying we look for pretty much validation for whatever it is, and that's not the word you use, but you're looking for someone to
vouch.
Pretty much. So whatever information, whatever stance you have, you're gonna look for things to support that. You're gonna watch that movie. You're going to identify whenever you're watching your show with whichever character resonates with you. You're going to listen to that song that puts you in that feeling. So if we have more diversity, if we have more options, then I think that serves everybody well.
True. I like, and we haven't mentioned it yet, which is surprising, Love Jones.
I love Love Jones as a movie, but they had a horrible relationship.
It was real, though.
No, it definitely was real. Then that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
But it was horrible.
It was.
I mean, the relationship that they had was horrible.
Yes.
But, hey, you got to think about the time, like how old they were. So you're 20-something.
Let's delve into it further, though, because there was a married man in that film.
Yeah.
And they showed the dynamic between he and his wife.
True. Nah, that was cool. The movie that's one of my favorite movies. I'm just saying that some of the best marriages and relationships out there have had their bad moments. So I'm not downing them for, showing the intricacies of their relationship and how it went. I loved how it was portrayed. I think we need more movies that represent a different perspective like they did. I'm just saying that a lot of times I think that movie probably did have a big impact on me. I liked it so much. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, I want that relationship, because in the end,
it all worked out. Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, well, hey, I can go through these changes and all these things, and in the end, if you really care about a person, it'll work out. That kind of was our story.
I was about to say that's what happened with us.
But it didn't have to be.
Yeah.
And when you tell yourself that certain things are okay, then just kind of like I was talking about earlier with that blog post. And so just to give an example, right? I want to buy some new tennis shoes. But I also know that we just got cable because Insecure finna come on. Well, the numbers say with the budget we set, with adding on HBO, you don't have enough money in the budget to get these tennis shoes too. But if I then say, well, I'm not going to spend as much money on eating out, which I've shown in the past that we spent the same amount or more, eating out. But I convinced myself that, we could just shave some money on eating out and I get these tennis shoes. I can make the numbers say whatever I want them to say.
Yeah.
It still don't mean it's a good idea. When we watch these movies and we say, well, I want this relationship. I want this. So then you think about, hey, well, they did this, and this, and they still came together in the end. I think those things do help shape our reality, as opposed to, hey, it ain't always going to end up how you want it to end up.
That is true.
Like love.
Everybody loves a good ending.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't work out, moviegoers aren't too happy. So,
and you know me, I love a good movie that
is real. I know.
Is real, and in the end, it don't come out like everybody wanted to come out.
Yeah.
And they're few and far between.
You're such a pessimist. That's
why I like Menace to Society too, though. Can't get killed in the end.
But that's not a love story.
It was somewhat of a love story, him and Ronnie.
That was foolish living.
Ain't no more foolish than Darius and Nina.
It was foolish.
Ronnie was trying to take him out the hood, put him in a new environment. She was trying to love that man to be his best self.
And how old was Ronnie if she was with his cousin?
Nah. He was just the OG.
Oh.
I don't know how old she was. She wasn't that much older, though.
That was the first problem I had with that relationship. I was like, aren't you around here with a kid?
She wasn't that old.
Mm.
He was older than her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pernell was older than Ronnie.
Jason's lyric,
yeah. But then you gotta think about it too. You think about how old we were when these movies came out. So there was a lot of things that we didn't grasp a lot of those details about the relationship. Like we saw the movie, but you weren't sitting there like, cause we weren't there. The majority of us, like we weren't having sex at that time. Like I think during those times, like I had to cover my eyes during the movies when I'm watching with my parents. You know what I'm saying? So like to sit there and say,
I'm nah, because okay, I'm really going back in my mental Rolodex now. Like House Party, which was it 2? No, 3.
I was about to say 2 was trash.
2 was okay. It wasn't the strongest of the 3, but
okay.
It was okay.
Okay, House Party 3.
House Party 3, when Angela and Kid are about to get married, and all of what they went through, but they wound up coming together. That kind of informed me. And it kind of shook my world up because I was like, Kid was with, what was her name in the film?
I can't remember, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Gina's character.
Yeah.
Or Tisha Campbell's character. Her character. Why can't I remember? Charmaine?
No, Shireen. And Sydney. Yeah.
So I was like, but they're friends and they grew up together and they don't wind up together. I was actually rooting for Sydney to come snatch him.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, okay. So some woman can just come along and that's that.
Yeah.
But that's real.
Yeah. And I think probably for some girls, they probably look at those things differently. Mm-hmm. Like me looking at House Party 3.
You weren't thinking nothing but.
You already know. So, yeah, I would. No. Class Act. You know, like movies like that.
Class Act wasn't about marriage, though.
No, it wasn't about marriage. Well, okay, so you're just talking about marriage. I'm talking about relationships.
Well, okay, let's put some parameters on it. Like serious relationships and marriage. So like Love and Basketball, which seems to be like the quintessential Black film, and I don't see it.
See, okay, now that's more like, okay, we're in either junior, we like junior, seniors.
I'm talking about it all.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, time frames matter. Like a movie that you watch in the 80s, you're going to feel differently about that, or you're going to take something different out of that as a, like.
But then we go back and we watch those when we're older.
Exactly. But then are you going back and watching them for a different, are you going back for nostalgia's sake? Or are you going back trying to look at it to get something new out of it.
Ain't nobody watching these movies for love advice. I'm just saying, subconsciously, what are we getting?
I hear you.
I'm not like saying, nostalgia, of course.
I'm saying what I get what I get from those things. Like when I go back, even now when I'm watching A Different World, I could care less about the love story because I know how it's gonna end up. I know who's gonna be with who, so I'm looking for the jokes. I'm saying the lines in my head before they say it. But what I'm saying is during the time frame, even like songs, well, I guess songs may be a little different for me.
I was about to say, not for me. It's all one and the same.
Because these things, I take myself back to where I was at that time. A lot of times when I seen this movie or when I heard the song.
So you haven't gone back and watched a film that came out late 80s, early 90s, and you got something else out of it?
Maybe if it's something that I've never seen before.
I'm talking about movies that you've seen.
Not if I was young. I don't think so. And I may have. You get messages.
Yeah.
But usually I'm just watching it for nostalgia's sake.
Okay.
I know the favorite part and all that.
Coming to America. You got nothing out of that?
I'm thinking about Samuel Jackson on USA. What'd he say? Who the freak is this ad head? So yeah, I'm not. I'll marry you.
I take other stuff from that movie. And somebody brought it up. I was listening to another podcast and they had mentioned it. And I was like, that's it. I know I'm not the only one here. I'm just not just pro-militant out here. How he left Africa to come get him a light-skinned black woman. And the sister was the loose booty out there with the short nappy head who... I'm going off on a tangent, but...
No.
Who throws herself at the leftovers of her sister while her light-skinned sister with the long hair gets to become queen.
Yeah, see, I ain't get that. Because she wasn't going after leftovers. She thought he was the king. She thought Simi was the king. Nah, but so I get that. Yeah. I get that, but I didn't see it as he came over here to find somebody light skinned. He had somebody. It was light skinned women over there.
He turned down the dark skinned one that was barking on one leg.
Who you want barking on one leg?
He told her to do it. She would do anything for him.
That's why he didn't want her. He wanted somebody.
So a man didn't want. Here we go.
Let's go.
So. Men don't want a woman who will do anything for them?
A man, well, speak for me. You want someone who is going to challenge you to be better and that's not always going to just agree.
That's not what Lisa
with
did.
Everything you say. That's not what Lisa did. What you talking about?
She didn't challenge him.
She did.
How did she challenge him?
He wasn't just able to be like, I want to be with you. He had to work to gain her affection. He did. She was with Daryl when they got together. I mean, like when they met. So he had to win her over. She was a challenge. They
didn't know each other. Of course, they had to get to know each other. But she didn't challenge him.
It wasn't just whatever you say, Akeem. Like she had her own mind. You don't think so? You think she was just whatever he said, she went along with?
Yeah.
Really? Maybe I do need to watch it again.
She didn't challenge him. She was just like, oh, okay, he has a nice heart. He's not like Daryl, who is over here.
No, like, so let me get this straight. When I say challenge, I don't mean she was argumentative and she went against everything that he said.
I didn't say that either.
Okay, so when I mean challenge, that means that you have to put in work to get what you want. That don't mean that you're not gonna get what you want or that a person makes you go through hoops and ladders. But hey, if I put my best forward and you appreciate it, then that's a challenge. Because it's women out there that you ain't even got to try with. All the women he was going to the bar, like when they were going to the bars and out to the clubs, and the ones that were like so forthcoming, or the ones that were challenging from another perspective, like got an attitude. He found in Lisa someone who she got her own car, she got her own house.
Her daddy's.
She was working though.
With the job her dad gave her.
So what? People that work at their family business, they don't work. They don't earn their own living.
Nah. I mean, nepotism is real.
We talk about buying black and building black, and
I didn't say anything against that. I just said,
you said it was her daddy's. Like her daddy was just cutting her a check and she ain't do no work. You feel a certain way about Lisa.
No.
You obviously do. Because I'm
we don't know enough.
Completely different.
You going off, I didn't say whether or not she was working hard or not. I just said her dad, she was living with her dad.
You felt enough to say that when she was working. She was working just like everybody else. She was working the fry man who went up to put lettuce and seeds on the buns. Like, she worked.
Okay.
And he liked that about her.
When you said she got her own and everything, I just said her dad's, and I wasn't lying.
Well, she didn't have her own house, but she had her own.
That's what I was referring to. I ain't say nothing about that job
Well,
that her dad gave her.
Well, whatever. I like I say, and this. I guess this is the beauty of it. People see things differently. So when I watched that movie, I wasn't looking at none of that. None of that impacted me. I wasn't like, I need a light skinned woman. I've dated all different types. Sure, I had preferences at certain points in time, but if you was black,
don't get back.
I was trying to find something around with it, but you know. But that's
stick around, Jack.
That's the thing. So,
of course, I'm thinking all of this stuff as I get older. Like, you just get different stuff, like music. I can go back and hear a song and I may hear a little something in the background that I didn't pick up before.
Yeah, get that.
So I think I picked up on the whole coming to America thing when I was in college. So
I think that's another way of, that's something that you have feelings about. So you found that in that movie.
Not necessarily. I was studying film.
You had to have, you felt the way though, because it's people that study film and they would write a different dissertation than you did looking at the same body of work. So it was your thoughts and your opinions on it that led you to
No, it's my research on it that kind of opened my eyes to that. Like, I wasn't looking for that, but I came across it.
You came across it, but still, that's what you took from it. You said, we don't know enough. So you're feeling it with your thoughts and opinions on it. That's all I'm saying. Like, what's there is there. He did come to America. He found a light-skinned woman who had a dark-skinned sister who was trying to show him affection, but he wanted the light skin. True enough. But we can't, I mean, I guess you can assume that he came specifically to find a light-skinned woman, but the sister wasn't in the office working. Like, maybe it was her driving her ambition when they went to.
We don't know what
when they went to
Sharice was doing, if that's her name.
When they went to the sexual chocolate thing, that's when he first seen her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, she a mover, she a shaker. She's out here. She's intelligent. She speaks well. She has a presence about herself. I'm attracted to that. The
Okay.
sister was younger, you know.
I'm speaking more so of the creators of the movie as opposed to what was actually shown.
And that's something different. Now we're talking about the myths that we put out there.
Okay.
So now we let's get into the myths.
Okay.
All right. So the myths, a lot of times in Black movies, the love interest is typically a lighter skinned
Person.
woman. Because the man could go from Wesley Snipes to Boris Kojo. But the main character, i.e. girlfriends, Joan, Martin, Gina, in my family, just growing up in Louisiana, I have mixed heritage. A lot of my very, very, very fair-skinned ancestors or grandparents married dark-skinned,
Did they?
either men or women. Yeah.
That's unusual.
It was not in Louisiana.
Really? Didn't the Creoles marry other Creoles?
But then that's the thing. The Creole community was very inclusive or exclusive.
I was about to say, yeah.
If you weren't of specific families, and I mean, even there are dark Creoles, but
They were, no pun intended, the black sheeps.
But my point is, the myths that they portray is that the leading lady is often the fair skin, the long hair women, as opposed to the love interest being the dark skin, more kinky hair, and then her sidekick being the light skin, flowy hair woman.
Although there is, what is it, Being Mary Jane with Gabrielle Union. But her love life especially, is in shambles.
And look at her hair.
What about her hair? What about her hair?
How does she wear her hair in this show?
Straight and long?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Were you talking about that?
Oh, no.
What?
Spike Lee done held us down, though.
After they drug his name through the mud for Chirac, now everybody wants to be on him for his new movie.
I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about what his contribution, though. Your movie.
Malcolm X.
Girl.
School Days?
Yeah, School
Yes.
Days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Talking about good and bad hair.
Yeah.
Whether you're dark or you're fair.
And so the main, well, it was he dug into all the different
Oh yeah, foolishness of college life.
and colorism and all that. You know, so yeah. But Lawrence Fishburne's love interest was dark skin, kinky hair. Then you, on the flip side, you had, what was his name? Was it Big Brother Julius? Was it Julius?
Julian.
Julian?
I think Julian.
Yeah. And Gina or Tisha Campbell.
What was her name?
Y'all know it.
I can't. Yeah, I can't even think. What's wrong with me today?
High Learning, Tyra Banks, Omar Epps.
I think there's a natural. But me and you,
What you talking about?
I'm clearly dark skinned and you're light skinned.
You're definitely not clearly dark skinned.
How am I not clearly dark skinned?
If we talking about just which side you on, yeah. But you are not.
I didn't know it was the darkest against the
Hey,
lights.
yeah, you know it's that line. You either dark or you light.
I'm definitely dark.
You're not definitely dark. You on the dark side.
Welcome to the dark side.
And I mean, I'm barely on the light side.
Child, you went to Mexico and now you think you dark skinned.
Hey. What we ain't gonna do is that. So, me and you, not on extreme. We not extremes. I'm not extremely light. You not extremely dark.
You mighty red around here. And I'm mighty chocolate around here.
You brown.
I'm cinnamon.
Hey, whatever.
And you are caramel.
That's what I'm talking about. We ain't. Anyways, You just talked about like it's you not just dark and I'm not just light. We somewhere in the middle.
Whatever you need to tell yourself, you want to be so close to the equator.
I'm just saying, like you not dark. I know darker people than you.
Of course, but I consider myself dark skinned.
You consider yourself dark skinned. And that's fine. We can self-identify however we want to.
No Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah. Okay, so the colorism thing is a myth, right? Because we know that there's all different type of flavors of people. It's a myth. It's a myth. It's one part of, I'd say, the Black experience that is highlighted so much.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
That's the black and white of it. Okay,
like
I got you.
That's 90% of what we see.
Okay.
Which out here in the real world.
I thought you meant like it was a myth that.
No, I just admitted my own family, you know.
Oh, okay. That people actually do seek out that. I mean, because it's.
But that's the majority of representation. Mm-hmm. Dwayne Wayne Whitley, Martin Gino.
Any rap video.
Not any rap video.
Majority.
Because Wale just had.
Majority.
Okay.
I said majority.
Yeah. You got that. Another myth would be that the men are majority of the time the ones that are doing the cheating, or they're the cause of the
breakup,
or you know the problems in the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's another myth that we have.
Because we all have issues, ladies too.
Definitely.
And we have to own up to that. Own you're crazy. Because the sooner you own it, the sooner you can get to that loving, transparent relationship that we all desire.
Yep. Another myth is you have the male friends that are like, they don't want to see their male friend in a happy relationship. Like they're always giving him bad advice. Like
the movie The Brothers.
Yeah, I think, yeah. But was there anybody giving them good advice in that movie?
They were giving each other good advice. Like one of them, like what's his name? Bill Bellamy's character kept calling women out of their names. And Shamar Moore was like, why do you keep referring to women as bees?
Yeah.
Like you need to show the lady some respect.
That's true. Yeah.
They were trying to, except for Bill Bellamy's character, trying to be supportive of Shamar Moore's character getting married.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that's like one out of, I don't know.
I'm trying to think some other ones. You had The Best Man. Mm-hmm. They were all kind of dealing with their own foolishness in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Wood.
There you go. The Wood was definitely trying to talk him out of getting married. Breaking up the group, man. The group.
But there was support too in there.
From who? When they went over to Tamala's house?
Just in general, you know, they wanted him to get married. I mean, they put pressure on him. They was like giving him a hard time, but at the end of the day, they was like, man, you know,
not Slim.
You got your Slim too. Slim was the one that went in, you know. They helped him in their own way. Like, I think as guys, like, yeah, you kind of give people grief a little bit, but at the end of the day, you want your people happy. And I think that's what that was all about. Mm. He had an internal struggle that they weren't the cause of why he was doing what he was doing. Like, they may not have stopped him, but, you know, I don't think they were the ones that were like, hey, you need to do this.
Did you have that?
Yeah. I mean, I can't blame anybody for decisions I made. Mm-hmm. Like, influence and, like, those things. Yeah, but people can't put something in you that's not there.
True.
So, another myth is there's only one, like, married couple and they super old that's in the community.
And like that they're happy.
It's only one happy relationship in the whole neighborhood.
The Ruby D.
Yep.
Ossie Davis of their community.
Yep. And everybody else is just dysfunctional or single, divorced.
Like what movie?
What movie can I think of?
Boomerang.
Who's the
He
old
didn't
couple
marry
in that
me
one?
for my cooking. Now we not gonna act like we not coordinating. Got to coordinate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. That one. I was about to say a Thin Line, but well, yeah, Thin Line.
Who was married in A Thin Line?
The owner of Chocolate City. Remember, he was like, yeah.
Bobby Brown's character?
No, the old dude who owned it and was trying to sell it to him.
Oh,
Smitty. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I see these little, it's always one.
I guess.
But music is different though. You know what I'm saying? Music, whew.
We didn't talk about all of I thought of like 2 other movies where there's like, you're either in a relationship. Now, these are older couples. So
Okay.
You're in a relationship and the husband's cheating, or the wife is like super subservient while the husband does whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, Love and Basketball.
Okay.
He had
Yeah.
both of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other movie that I thought of? Oh, Eve's Bayou. The dad was cheating.
Mm-hmm. Then you had like movies like Two Can Play That Game and
Yeah.
that whole little.
That was a good movie though.
Nah, that's why I say a lot of these movies are good, but then
They're trash.
as far as what they represent on that side.
Have Plenty. Love that movie, but the game, like, that's the other thing, that we have to play mind games in order to get what we want, or by the end of our mind games, we're like, I just wasted my time and should have did what I was supposed to do in the first place.
Mm-hmm. That's big.
Yeah.
Sprung.
Mm-hmm. Have Plenty. What was the other one? Oh, Two Can Play That Game with the mind games.
Yep. There was another one too. What was the one we just watched the other day? Was it
Breaking All the Rules?
Breaking All the Rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But then what do you think about when Tyler Perry made Why Did I Get Married?
The first one was good.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to have the over-the-top slapstick comedy, because that's, for whatever reason, the Hollywood formula. The issues represented, I did appreciate, like, because you don't see a lot of that, where there's a married couple and there's a baby mother involved, and how that whole dynamic is. And I like that he finally put his foot down and got both of them in check on their actions, even though he needed to be put in check too.
Yeah.
So that was a refreshing take. You saw Janet Jackson's character and her husband. What's his name? Malik Yeba, something like that.
Yoba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And them dealing with the loss of a child. Again, the acting was terrible and over the top. And then you had Tyler Perry, who insists on putting himself in these films.
We don't believe you. You need more people.
Right. Just stop making them all together.
Jill Scott.
Oh, I hated that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's real though.
I mean, it happens. Like I said, you get married, you put on weight, your husband's no longer attracted to you, or wife. And so they start looking elsewhere to get their needs fulfilled.
And a person is so down on themselves that they blame themselves and they endure
much more than they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that first one because it represented something different. It wasn't that it was just such a good movie.
Yeah.
It was just that it presented something different, a different narrative.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I hold on to with Love Jones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even Medicine for Melancholy, like
That was a good one.
the relationship is trash. Like they have a one night stand and then they like spend the next day together or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the dynamics of the relationship presented something new.
Can you call it a relationship?
Yeah, it's a relationship. I mean, I'm big on using that word relationships because it's just you have relationships. You have a relationship with the person that work at the gas station, you know, even though it may be fleeting or frivolous, it's a relationship.
I think that puts so much onus on the two people, though.
But people are afraid of that. Like you have a responsibility placed upon you when you interact with people on a level besides just passing. If you take a morning run and you pass a person and y'all speak to each other, in your mind you think, hey, I need to speak to this person. Like that's a relationship that y'all have. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I look at it. I'm so big on relationships and I'm learning that, I mean, I'm just learning my own stuff about relationships, but like those things are relationships. When you have something that's different that's presented, even though it may be not a good example, you can learn from not good examples.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
hope you learn from not good examples so you don't
Yeah.
repeat that.
Yeah. But I think sometimes when we see the outcome of the characters or the movies and the relationships in the movies, then we just kind of accept, like I was saying earlier, those bad parts.
In hopes that we get our happy ending.
The happy ending.
Oof, that's a word right there. Don't get so caught up in the potential.
Yeah, you have to.
That you're not considering the what is.
You have to consider the what is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, potential is important.
Yeah.
True enough, but that potential may not ever manifest itself the way that you think it would or should.
Yeah.
And if you don't appreciate the now, then you have nothing to hold on to because you're going to always be looking for that day that
you get you a Darius Love Hall.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
That's all right, honey. That's all right.
But we would be remiss if we didn't mention reality TV and the damage that has done.
Yeah. And I mean, whew. I remember we were still dating.
Mm-hmm.
So like 09.
Are you about to blow my spot up?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
09, and this was kind of when it just started to, like, the Housewives of Atlanta just started to kind of pop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that you would watch. And I remember like hating it, like not wanting to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, wanting to spend time with you and watch it. I just watched it with you. And I just seen like how it just wasn't anything that I wanted to be, I wanted to watch or like to invite into whatever, right? And I was gonna say, thankfully, there really wasn't any dating for me in between that time or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up marrying you. But I think about the impact that has on like relationships now.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, you still watch it, like different shows from time to time. Like you like some better than you like others.
Like I really think that we could possibly maybe watch some of these episodes. And I hear stuff in passing because, you know, I have my preference when it comes to how much and what exactly I consume when it comes to reality TV, especially with those franchises, because I do believe that Mona Scott is trying to destroy us all one episode at a time.
Her and Tyler Perry.
And what's his name? Andy Cohen. But I do enjoy Real Housewives of Potomac only because of the dynamics that are shown, because they're actually married. Who's actually married? There's two that are actually married. And it's interesting to see their relationships on film, and not just, and we've watched some of it together, like the relationship between one of the cast members and her mother, and how that's affecting her marriage. Actually, both of them, because there was an incident with another castmate, and there was
Say their names. People know who you talking about.
I don't want to give them shine.
You support them?
Only in Nielsen ratings. Particularly one I dig her. The other one I don't, and I don't want to put that out there. But there was also a little tiff between the wife and the mother-in-law.
So do you think that your consumption of that or those shows has an effect on how we interact on a daily?
I don't think so. And I say that because I don't see myself in them in any kind of way. I feel that I am so far past what they're showing on screen that I'm able to separate fact from fiction. And I know what works in our marriage. And I know what will fly and what won't fly.
I'll say, I thought about it one time, and it was, we have our disagreements, right? Which, with or without TV. But a recent disagreement we had early, I don't know if it was earlier that day. It was somewhere around the same time frame that we had this disagreement, that you had showed me one of the women, and they always arguing. So it is, all the episodes. So anyways, we were having this particular disagreement, and you get up and you walk out the room. And I sat there for about 3 minutes thinking that you was just going to the restroom and coming back. Then I didn't hear you coming back. I heard your phone playing in the other room, and I was like, she just got up and walked out. So then I was thinking to myself, I started connecting dots. Like, I wonder if, not saying that, you are being taken over by the housewives of Potomac, but just the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, can they have an immediate impact even if we don't know about it?
You think I walked out because of that?
I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just saying, could it possibly have had an effect on it? Not that's the reason you walked out. Like, she walked out, so I'm about to walk out. But just kind of like what we're talking about in this episode, as far as whether it's subconscious or whatever, the things that influence us.
No, but you must have felt a certain way that you brought it up with that.
I did. I mean, it was just something that when you start talking about that, I remember having that thought of, I wonder if this is something that influenced.
No.
Okay.
I don't see them walking out.
Well, it's not just, that's what I'm saying. It's not like you walk out and walk. It's just the fact of they're always disagreeable. And it, like, I'm talking about like man and woman in the relationship, whether they're married or not. And I don't see them like in the moment, like, okay, let's find a middle ground. Let's find some type of resolution.
Okay. So one of the episodes that just aired, they were actually, one of the husbands and the wife got into it. The next episode, they showed them sitting down, having a discussion about the disagreement. They were really regretful with how things ended when they went on their trip, or she went on her trip. But they are talking to one another in an amicable tone. Is no fussing or arguing or you did this, you did that, no blaming. Yeah. They were having a discussion about what they didn't like. And they said they owned up to their part in it and apologized. They were enjoying each other's company while doing so, had a glass of wine and a cigar. And he says that he's going to the restroom. He comes back. He brings out her birthday gift. And it was a nice exchange. That's why I said I think we should start watching some of these, because I was like sitting there applauding them. Even this particular castmate I don't care for, but kudos to her and her husband showing that not only two black people who love each other, who are married, who have children together, they've been together, coming together saying, hey, you know, let's discuss this issue. And they're doing so in a pleasant way. I think sometimes we get into our tiffs and disagreements, and instead of creating an environment that allows for conversation and dialogue. And that's what they did. They got some wine. They enjoy smoking cigars, so they both had their cigars. And they created an atmosphere that was inviting for conversation.
Yeah.
And they owned up to their part in the disagreement. And I thought that was awesome to see on TV.
Yeah.
Aside from the foolishness.
It is.
Which there's no foolishness between them. Like, they actually are showing
their good representation.
Right.
That's cool.
So for all of of course, there's much, much, much more foolishness from the love and hip hop, which I just think is totally fabricated, and I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
To the Real Housewives.
To everything else. I mean, it spans, because I think one of my coworkers yesterday was just telling me about something, Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed, but...
Me either, until I saw that news story about them.
Well, I don't even know about the news story, but it's just so much out there that, you know, people are affected by that they may not know that this is something that affects me. And even the idea, because I know something like, even with like online dating and catfishing, and it's just, the dating scene is different now. And I think that a lot of media is kind of shifting, where like we're talking about shows that I'm sure people like, what, that's, you know, that's old. But people our age, they know. But some of the younger people that's coming up, and now they're being affected by a new wave of media.
Yeah.
And I just think it's important for us as people who are in solid functioning relationships to present that to the world. And your way of presenting may be different. You may operate a blog, you may do a podcast, you may have a joint Instagram page, you may be a part of your marriage ministry at your church, you may volunteer at your child's school, and just, you know, the kids sing a mom and a dad, like whatever it is, represent your marriage well. Because media should not be the only place that kids are introduced to a man and woman interacting on a consistent basis, amicably, lovingly, supportive. And then you kind of just go on up the line, and, you know, there are adults who did not see that growing up, that the images that they remember are from these movies and these shows and these songs that we talk about. But if you, I mean, we all have single friends. We don't all have single friends, but most of us know people, whether it's family members or friends, that are single. And everybody that's single don't want to be married. But there are some people out there that are single that they may not know that they want to be married, because what they see, they don't like.
Right.
And I mean, it's like, if that's all you see and you know, and you like, well, you might be like, I don't want to be married either. You know, just kind of like what you were saying with the show. There are people that don't know that there are some people that are actually married, that are working things out, that present something different. And they may be like, hey, I don't want to watch that because it's all about this. Well, there's other things that are represented. So we need to be the other thing that's represented. And that's something that we try to do. Well,
and then once you find it or you create it, share it.
Yeah, definitely.
So other people can enjoy it and get something from it.
Most definitely.
So does that wrap it up?
I think I'm good on this end.
We didn't really talk about the music portion.
That's so vast, because, you know, there are specific songs that address certain things. I do think that music,
It's a lot of sex and music.
yeah, that's true.
Not to say we didn't have that coming up. We were on the verge of it ramping up
Mm-hmm.
into, vulgarity.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like
But
anything goes.
these kids, though, they have porn on their cell phones. So,
Yeah.
but I think music is it's more damaging because you have very specific messages, like very specific messages.
That you can readily listen to now, especially with cell phones.
And and it's over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. Don't let it have a nice beat.
Yeah. And then the sayings come along with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And the memes. And then you add a dance to it.
Yeah.
Now it's popular.
Yeah. So we're battling against those things. I think there's a community of people out there or I know there's a community of people out here that definitely want to promote happy marriages and happy relationships.
Oh yeah. And it's on TV.
Yeah, but when you're in one and you know people around you that want that, like you want it for them. Like we're trying to get our finances under wraps, right, and become more financially free.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I assume that these people that are in the debt-free community that post and try to encourage others, like when you get there, you want other people to be there too. Mm-hmm. You want to share it. Like when you get saved, you want other people to be saved too.
Yeah, you should at least.
Definitely should. Like you should be encouraging others through your living, through your words. Like don't go to your single friends. I always tell them about what's wrong in your marriage. Don't do that. Talk about your marriage, but make sure you talk about some regular things.
Yeah.
Talk about some good things. I'm not saying always throw your marriage up in people's faces. We talked about the word relationships earlier. We have relationships with people, and people know when we good, when we not good. So don't always wait till you are not good, and then that's when you want to divulge information about your relationship. And that's really with any relationship, because a lot of times you don't share relationships with other people, or the people that you have relationships with they are not always connected to everybody in your life. So if the only thing they hear is negative, then they're going to be less supportive when you need them to be. And that's real. So we talking about the myths and what the media portrays, but we have to control our realities. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure that we are doing the work in our reality so that other people's realities are affected positively by that. Because if not, then people are just going to continue to turn to film and music for what they think it is or what it should be.
Yeah. With us being older, and they're still relevant somewhat today. The artists that we grew up with, mm-hmm. Now they're getting older. They may have been married before, but they didn't really talk about it. Mm-hmm. Or they're married now, and so now they are talking about it, and they're more forthcoming about their relationships now.
Yeah.
When we needed that.
Yeah.
When we were coming up.
Yeah.
So there is some light at the end of the tunnel there, but don't wait till you're 40, 50.
Yeah.
To share the good things that you are married.
Yeah.
After all of this time, and you do love your wife.
Yeah.
You're not out here popping bottles and sleeping with this one and that one.
Yeah. Because now there's a myth that your 20s is just for you to be out here wilding and doing you.
Hello.
When, I hear more and more now that, like you say, people that have been married, mm-hmm. You didn't really hear about it. And I don't know all these people personally, but the idea of somebody marrying at 22 was so foreign.
Yeah. And especially if you're a celebrity.
Yeah. Or just in reality too, and being married and staying married.
There is a difference.
There's a difference,
Anybody could get married. Now come to me when you stay married.
Yeah. And you stay married and you're doing the work and you're not in a toxic environment and you're not living your life on this side and they living their life on that side. So,
Yeah.
that's why I'm thankful to have you in this with me. The fact that we can share us with the world and know that God is going to do what he needs to be done through us.
Yeah.
It's empowering. So, we keep getting encouragement from you guys. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you listening.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate the prayers.
We appreciate you entrusting us with the deepest of your feelings on your own relationships, and we are humbled that you feel comfortable enough to come to us for advice.
Definitely.
Those who have reached out to us, we thank you. We are certainly praying for you and your relationships. Reach out to us if you need to any other time. Our communication lines are always open.
Yep.
And we just, again, we are humbled that you would, that you see something in us that you would feel comfortable enough to come to us and ask for advice. We pray that the advice that we do give touches you and is helpful to you in your relationships. So we pray for each and every one of you.
Yeah, continue, guys, to not only support through listening to our podcast and following us on social media, but also something that I think I need to do better with, and I'm asking you guys as well, is don't just share this with your married friends and family. A lot of the things that we talk about
applies to relationships.
It applies to relationships, period. And so if we can begin to provide people with positive advice and things that they can look forward to before they get married, then there will be a lot of trouble that we can save people that we didn't necessarily have before we got married.
Right.
So continue to share this with your friends, your family. If there's any feedback, guys, I'm talking about positive, negative, you hated the show, you think that we should, kind of consider something else,
make sure you go on Facebook to rate us. Did you know that you can rate us on Facebook? Give us 5 stars if you feel so inclined to.
Definitely.
And on iTunes or Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
You can go there and you can rate us there as well and leave a comment, leave suggestions. We are open. We have an email that you can get to us through Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, if you have anything on your heart, reach out to us and, we'll respond very shortly.
We will wrap this thing up with a prayer.
Sounds good.
We thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity once again to be here in front of the microphone, speaking to your people. We thank you for allowing us to do the work. We thank you for using us as an example. And Lord, we thank you for the representations, positive and those things that are not so positive that are out there, so that we can see some of the dangers that we can fall into relationships, but also the things that we can do and the work we can do to make sure that our relationships remain fruitful and that they remain centered around you. Lord, allow us to be a light into this world so that people will see that with you, all things are possible. So relationships can be challenging, but they can also be so rewarding. So we thank you, Lord, for all the work that you're done through us. And we thank you for all of those out there that you are working in as well. We pray these and other blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. See you next episode.
Later, guys.